This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Shane McGuigan. We're back at the University of Kent. How are you, Shane?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you and the team?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Team are doing well. There's your phone there, mate. There you go, pick that up for you. Yeah, we're not doing too bad. Thank you very much. We seem to be slowly but surely returning back to a semblance of normality, which is great. How have things been recently? I haven't caught up with you in a little while.
Yeah, there's been a bit of change. Obviously, the Campbell fight got pushed back. Lawrence's fight is all on track as well. So we've been working away, but you know, it was a bit frustrating. Obviously, we didn't really know how well Luke's body was going to be, adapt to getting better, obviously, and how quickly he was going to recover. So we did play it by ear. I mean, by the time the news came out, it was probably a week afterwards, but because his symptoms had died down within 2 or 3 days. Obviously, he was going to be self-isolating, from 10 days from when his symptoms started. So I just had to make the call. I said, look, is there any way we can push it back? We opened up discussions with Golden Boy, and they were pretty hesitant that they didn't want to push it back. And I said, look, I want to make sure that I give him the full adequate time to prepare, and he goes in there at 100%, and I think it was the right decision in the end. And obviously, it's all been rescheduled. So, yeah, I mean, it was a risky one because at one stage we thought we might have lost the fight and obviously no one wants to be the person that pulls out of a fight, especially with all that media traction that's behind him. So, luckily, Golden Boy have provided us with a new date and one that we're happy with, and we're gonna go out to the States after Lawrence's fight on the 13th of December. So it gives us 3 weeks to sort of do the last 2 weeks, and then sparring and training and stuff like that, which is obviously over Christmas and that. But then we'll taper down in the last week and be ready for January 2nd.
Quite a busy end to the year for yourself, obviously, with Lawrence Okolie fighting for the WBO world title on the AJ Pulev undercard. Obvious question really is kind of how much of an inconvenience was this with Luke Campbell being forced back? Did it inconvenience you, inconvenience Luke?
No, it actually worked out a lot better because it would have been pretty stressful for me to do all the camp here. We couldn't get very good sparring over here anyway. There's a lot of people just are hesitant to travel and from foreign countries and stuff, and I reached out to a few Americans and stuff, and we tried to get the visas across, and it was like jumping through bloody endless hoop after hoop, and we just couldn't get them over. So it's actually worked out a bit better. Plus, I would have had to have gone out into the States and then come back for Lawrence's fight, and then I would have missed like a week or 10 days of his training camp or something like that. So yeah, I mean, it actually, even though it's been pushed back and Luke's been in the gym a long time, but it allows me and Lawrence to have adequate time together, which is good.
Just going back to kind of Campbell Garcia, we've seen in the last 24 hours Oscar De La Hoya come out and said that the fight might happen in, I think, CANcun on a beach somewhere. I don't know if that's one of Oscar De La Hoya's bright ideas, or is there legs to that? Is there a possibility for the fight to move to Mexico or another location?
No, I don't think so.
Is that the first you've heard of it?
No, I heard that obviously last night, but it was something that came to my attention last night, and I thought, what's going on? What's going on here? The fight is scheduled to take place in California, so we are. But at the same time, there's been mention of a few venues, but I don't think CANcun has just suddenly arose last night. So we'll speak to Eddie today and then figure out what's going on. But we don't really care where it is, to be honest. I mean, there was talks that it could have a small crowd, but the original agreement was no crowd, so we're kind of against that. But look, we also understand that we pulled out of the original date, so it's up to them, and it's their promotions. They're paying for us to come across, so obviously we've got to be malleable to some degree,
I didn't quite like the sound of Oscar De La Hoya's Fight Island. I think it'd be quite lively. Yeah. Luke Campbell, caught up with him briefly before he shot off today. seems ready to go now, seems ready to fight. This has dragged on a long time. Luke's not conventionally a talker anyway. I'm sure he won't mind me saying that. But he seems like a person who's desperate to get in the ring now and fight.
Yeah, definitely. He's been out of the ring a long time. Obviously, COVID hasn't helped anyone, but the fact is that he boxed on late August in so 18 months ago. So it was a long old time ago, and it's one that we him being turned 33. Obviously, there's not a lot of miles on the clock, but it does help a fighter to be active. I just want to, for myself as well. It's a risky. It's not a risky fight, but it's a very live fight for him. And he's at that stage of his career now where we want the big names and we want the big fights. So it's a great opportunity for us to take. But the longer we're out of the ring, it isn't the best for us. But what we can do is we can get brilliant sparring, and we've got a good kid in called Adam Aziz at the moment. We've got Dalton Smith coming down next week as well, and then we go out to the States, and we've got Robert Garcia has linked us up with quite a lot of talented kids that he's got in the gym. One guy is 2-2 with Garcia in the amateurs as well. So we're giving ourselves the ultimate time to prepare, and also the best opportunity to get the best sparring. But one thing about Ryan Garcia is he's very fast. He's full of confidence. He obviously has a lot of expectations for himself, and you got to give him credit for getting in the position that he's in. He's obviously a decent fighter as well. So we have to be super switched on and ready for it.
Yeah, the time again always happens. Very, very strange. There we go. It only happens straight away.
Normally a wave does it, Normally a wave's pick it back up.
Picking it straight back up there. People who have seen interviews that we've done in here before will be very familiar with the lights going out after 7 or 8 minutes. Back to Robert Garcia. You make a good point there about kind of getting sparring from Robert Garcia, and I know that's a relationship that you've kind of cultivated and grown over a period of time. Just talk to us a little bit about that. Obviously, I know that you had Alexis Rocha in camp for Josh Taylor Regis Prograis. Talk to us about your relationship with Robert Garcia.
Yeah, well, obviously, when I was working with Carl Frampton as well, we boxed in New York, and Mikey Garcia boxed. Well, it was like co-main event on that one, and then obviously in the Santa Cruz 2 fight as well. There was another co-main event. So. With Garcia, so obviously just hanging around. He was also out in the El Paso one as well. He had a guy out there, so I just got affiliated with him over the years, just chatting away. And he was a super featherweight, and my dad was a feather, and even though they weren't in the same sort of era, they have a lot of respect for each other as well. So he's been very helpful over the years. And one thing about Robert Garcia is that he's got 80, 100 fighters in his gym, top professional guys, young guys coming through. Established fighters and stuff like that, so he's got unreal sparring. I was talking to Stevie McKenna and Aaron McKenna. They were saying how great the sparring is. You turn up there on sparring days and you've literally got like 8 to 10 people per weight division, all pros, all ready to jump in and mix it with each other. So that's the sort of sparring and that's the sort of gym that we need to be around, because Ryan Garcia has a traditional American style. He's quite flat-footed, but he's very fast hands. So we need to make sure that we get adequate prep, and he's been super helpful with Alexis Rocha for the Regis Prograis fight for Josh Taylor. He sent over Alexis Rocha, who was just worth his weight in gold when it came to the sparring. It was brilliant. So I'm very thankful and happy for that relationship.
You mentioned the speed of Ryan Garcia and kind of the gusto, if you like, and the confidence of being a young talent coming through like him. He said today he's going to come out and he's going to put Luke Campbell away inside 3 rounds. Is that just that confidence, or are you expecting that kind of fast first bell start from him?
That's the way he fights. He's explosive. He's no messing about, and I think actually he's the most effective in the first 3 rounds. I think if you can switch him off, like he's been done in the past, when he's gone the distance, he's looked very ordinary. And that, of course, goes to many explosive fighters. If they get into a rhythm and they can't really snap out of it, they look quite methodical and do the same things over and over again. So, our let's not make no mistake. Everyone says you've got to be switched on for the first 4 or 5 rounds of this kid because he's rapid, he's obviously heavy-handed, he's a wicked puncher. So, but like Luke's been in there with Linares, he's been in there with good quality fighters, quite similar, fast hands and stuff. And I feel like he's getting better all the time. And I feel like this fight, it's a big gamble for Ryan Garcia. It's not a massive gamble for Luke Campbell. Luke's, as I said, he's been established. He's mixed it with guys. He's been in gyms in America for 3-4 years. Whenever he was training away there as well. So, Garcia, he's been fighting absolute nobodies, riding high on confidence. Doing videos with fucking Kevin Hart and people like that, and you've got to give him credit for the sort of social media traction that he gets. But he's been fighting idiots, and if he thinks that he can go and put away a top quality fighter, let's not make any mistakes. Campbell's a top 5 lightweight in the world for sure, and you can't suddenly just go and just make those stupid predictions off of who he's boxed. But we understand that it's a live fight early on. So,
staying with all things lightweight before we move on to the rest of the McGuigan stable, haven't spoke to you on camera at least since Vasyl Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. Now, we did a technical breakdown. I did a podcast with Barry Jones where kind of the end of both of those was we couldn't see Teofimo Lopez defeating Vasyl Lomachenko. What did you make of his performance in shocking the world, really, against Vasyl Lomachenko?
Very impressed. He was a lot physically stronger than I expected. Lopez obviously implemented his strength early on. He's got it all. He can mix it in close. But one of the things that he's very effective is he was such a physical presence and just sort of when Lomachenko was making that exchange, you could see him. He's literally just pushing him off at times. I thought he boxed really well. I don't think it was the best Vasyl Lomachenko that we'd seen. A lot of people will say, well, that's a credit to Lopez, but I just don't think it is. I think he was definitely a little bit injured, or obviously he went and he got the operation afterwards, but he just seemed a little bit gun shy. He seemed like he wasn't throwing his right shoulder, wasn't it? That he wasn't as busy as he normally is, and obviously Lopez is heavy-handed and stuff, but I was very impressed. But once again, styles make fights, and I don't think he's necessarily the best in the division.
What impressed you most about his performance?
How he was patient, how he didn't get fazed by the the feints and the activity of Lomachenko. He was taking one step back. One of the things that a lot of people tend to do with Lomachenko is when he speeds up his movements, they try to speed themselves up with him, and he was just adjusting and staying calm with it. And obviously he's got very fast reflexes and reactions that he was able to step back and fire an uppercut, or step back and jab, or do something. But he was very efficient with his movement, and he took away a lot of what Lomachenko was good at. But as Lomachenko started realizing he needed to go and win the rounds as the fight went on, I thought he just did nothing for the first half of the fight, and then the 4 rounds that he did work, he won them quite convincingly. So, and that's how I scored it. I think I had it 8-4. So it's I just think it was impressed at one stage. I was impressed, definitely. Don't get me wrong about that. I was very impressed with Lopez, but I also I thought Lomachenko wasn't his usual self.
Picking it up there, what would you like to see next? Obviously, much talk has been about a potential rematch. Lomachenko injured at the minute, recovering from his injury. Teofimo Lopez, the words coming out of his camp is that they don't really want a rematch. They're not interested. Would you like to see Lomachenko go down to 130 potentially?
No, I think, well, he could do, but who's really there at 130? Tank Davies, even though that last one was at 130, he wants to establish himself at 135. You've got Haney at 135. You've got Ryan Garcia, all these guys talking a good game, and actually the only one that's actually come through and done anything is Lopez. So Haney boxing against Campbell, I was really unimpressed by that performance. Javonte DAVIS, I'm a big fan of his. I think that was a special knockout finish against Santa Cruz. But I don't think the big fights for Lomachenko are down at 135. I just think that there's bigger opportunities for him at 130. There's bigger opportunities for him at 135. So it also depends on how much he really wants to re-establish himself, and it's not like he's starting from zero, is it? He's a three-weight world champion and multiple-time world champion as well. So it's not he'll have opportunities to jump straight back in there for world titles. But he is 33, I think he is, and he's had a lot of wear and tear on his body. I'm sure he's made a lot of money. He's a kind of passionate guy about boxing. I don't think he does it for the. I heard that he split some of his purse to accommodate Lopez for that fight. So, he obviously does it for the accolade. He does it for the undisputed sort of title of being he wanted to be the undisputed lightweight champion. So we'll see how much motivation he really has, in himself, because he's had multiple shoulder injuries. He's had multiple hand injuries. His body is breaking down a little bit, and that is down to the fact that he's had 400 and something fights, and just been endless training camps. So, I mean, people are saying the blueprint's out there to beat and stuff. I highly don't think that, you know what I mean? But I just think it's up to him how much he really wants it. And if I was him, I'd stay at 135 because there's bigger names there.
You mentioned Devin Haney and his performance against Campbell. I spoke to Eddie Hearn, who of course promotes Devin Haney after the fight. He said while it wasn't the spectacular knockout they were looking for, he was pleased, but he did say that the next fight has to be the winner of Luke Campbell versus Ryan Garcia. What did you make of Devin Haney's performance, and is that a fight that you're looking at potentially if Luke Campbell comes past Ryan Garcia?
Yeah, obviously that's the fight that we're looking at. So this one's for the interim belt. Devin Haney hasn't won that title. He's been gifted it, and I don't like being a person that sort of tries to water down people's achievements. But he must look in the mirror and think, actually, I haven't boxed Abdullah for the interim and then got elevated to world champion. He hasn't boxed many good people, and he's boxed a guy who's 37 or 38 years of age in Gamboa, whose best days were at featherweight, and when he went to Olympics, he was a flyweight. He was a very, very good fighter, but his best days were well behind him. And Tank Davies gave him a hell of a beating for 11 rounds or whatever it was in his last one. So he looked underpowered. I thought Devin Haney looked underpowered. I thought he's good. He's a good all-rounder, but I don't think he's a special talent. I don't think he is. I think if you want to be one of those elite fighters like a Canelo or a Mayweather, even Mayweather when he was down at super featherweight, he was knocking people's spark out. Look at what he did to Diego Corrales. I just don't think he's got the X factor. Javonte DAVIS does, but I just don't think Devin Haney does. And I think he's going to get found out pretty soon.
Final one on all things lightweight, you touched upon it there. Javonte Davis, sensational knockout of Leo Santa Cruz, somebody, of course, that you know well. Stunning performance from Tank Davis. Yeah,
brilliant. Took his time, tried to play this sort of fast game with him for the first 4 rounds. Was it the 6th or the 7th? Was it the 5th? Oh, okay, 5th, yeah. But the round before, I think he walked him down the 5th and knocked him out in the 6th. But correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm sure your audience, that many boxing fans, that will know exactly what second he got chinned at. But yeah, it was like he just was playing that game, and then he just literally the round before he knocked him out, he just started forcing him back, using his strength, and then just whipped that uppercut out of nowhere. And go on, tell me.
I'm waiting.
It's loading up. But yeah, he was what a finish. I mean, and that's the thing. If you want,
round 6.
Okay, it was. Yeah, thank you. So in the 5th round, he just walked him down. But no, I think he's calm under fire. He can take a shot. He can punch with either hand. His height's going to be a factor of how far he can go up the weight divisions, and obviously he gets heavy in between fights as well. But in terms of like X factor and, you know, people tuning in to watch him, people want to see knockouts. People want to see ruthless performances, and he's definitely bringing them. I think he's a big pay-per-view star.